Hello and welcome to episode 1420 of The Sleeper and the Bust. It is Wednesday, May 28th. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this afternoon by Justin Mason. Justin, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. How are we doing?
All right, I didn't completely flub the open like last time. Let's see if I can have a better game than the last episode on Friday when I was all over the map. How about yourself?
You know, sometimes we just don't have a feel for our pitches when we're
Right.
out here, and like we're really just, throwing junk and hoping it doesn't get hit. And we have bad days, so
I
we're
was
hoping
getting
today's a
hit,
better
man.
start. Yeah, and maybe you'll be more efficient. Maybe you'll get some better, sequencing done here. I'll call a better game, and we'll ride off into a good week.
I like it. Let's go ahead and get right into it. We're taking a look at some positions right now. We're going around the diamond, looking at positions. Oh, I just saw that Renault Blanco is going to get Tommy John. That's an easy cut everywhere.
Yep.
But we're gonna look at shortstop and third base today, and we're looking at our player rater under the 12 team. We're big time 15 team guys, but we're going 12 team. Cast a little bit of a wider net. I don't know that things would change that much. The actual dollars earned might change a bit, but I'm looking at it right now. The actual top five doesn't really change, but just if you want to follow along with what I'm doing, it's player rater 2025 season, 12 team, and we're currently on shortstop. So we're going to look at the top five currently, discuss those guys. And I got to be honest, this is our most, by the book one, right? So far, the position shortstop has been kind of playing out as it should. There is one big surprise, but otherwise you got Elly De La Cruz at one. $34. He's lapping the field because he's almost $10 clear of Bobby Witt Jr. at 2. Then you got Trea Turner at 3. Our big surprise, Geraldo Perdomo at 4. And then Francisco Lindor at 5. So 4 guys that you very much expect. In fact, I think those are the top 4. Oh, no. 4 of the top 5, because we have a couple of missing guys here that we're going to have to get into for sure. One of whom is actually right there at number 9, and the other who isn't doing that well, but he hasn't been terrible. And then you got Perdomo as the big sneak. Let's start with him because we can have some thoughts on the studs studding out, but let's talk about Perdomo, who was in the midst of a full stud season. I still remember plain as day talking about him on the preview, the shortstop preview stream, because right after that, when we were talking to him and Jordan Lawler and how's that going to work, what's the playing time, he signed his extension. Literally minutes after we finished the pod, something that happens to us a lot. We'll have a big podcast, talk about something, and then an event will happen to completely change it. And that's what happened with that one, is that he signed that extension, Perdomo did, and it became clear that they were committing to him. And it's clear that the Diamondbacks knew what they were doing, at least so far, because 233 plate appearances in, and Perdomo's hitting 296 with 39 ribbies, 27 runs, 11 steals, and 6 homers. Now, we were pretty positive on Perdomo. I think you were a bit higher on Jordan Lawler, and I'll give you credit. He came up before I thought he would. So your positivity did pan out. He hasn't been a full-time player, but I wasn't even sure he'd come up before June or July, to be quite honest. He's up right now in kind of a utility role, but Perdomo's been an absolute dude. How much are we buying this? Where should the folks that have Perdomo be with him? Should they be feeling confident that they've got themselves a true gem here?
I don't know that we should be very confident. I mean, I think he's definitely getting lucky. He's got a 260 XBA, so batting average is going to come down. And there isn't really a ton in the profile that tells me that Perdomo is going to sustain a lot of this. He is making more contact, and for as much as people give me shit for talking about zone contact all the time, 94.5%.
Talk about.
But and this is what it is, right?
No, I know it's important. It's
important because what Perdomo's living on right now is just making a crap ton of contact, and he's getting lucky with it, right? The more contact you make.
Whoa. What's so lucky about this right now?
His average,
the power output, maybe
the power output, I think a little bit, because I mean, you look at the power metrics, and his average exit velocity is a little bit above last year, but not really very high. His hard hit percentage is only 31%. So I'm assuming the home run to fly ball rate is probably it's elevated for him, but not necessarily,
but not crazy, right?
Not crazy. It's like 10%. but he's been a career 5% guy. This is such a weird profile. He doesn't even have a high BABIP, right? He's got a 303 BABIP, which is higher than his career norm, but not higher than it was last season.
That's basically league average for Perdomo at 303, though, right?
Yeah. This is a really interesting profile. I definitely think the batting average regresses, but I think one, the power isn't like off the charts where I'm going like, oh, well, he's going to completely fall off. Maybe he only hits another 8 or 9 home runs, but that puts him at 15 for the season. I think the really interesting for me is the 11 stolen bases.
Bingo.
We're talking about a guy whose career high is 16. Last year, he stole 9 in 388 plate appearances. He's on almost a 30 stolen base pace right now.
And I think there's legitimacy to it.
And I think so too. I think this is something that he can do, especially because he's walking at a 14% rate right now. Yep. And that is backed up by a career best 18% O swing. And teams are attacking him in the zone. Like teams are seeing like, hey, he's not swinging outside the zone, other attack. But like that's been a mistake too, because like I said, he's making so much zone contact that he's gonna get on base quite a bit between that and the walk rate. So I could see him like finishing with, I don't know, like a 280 kind of batting average, 25 to 30 stolen bases, 15 home runs. And yeah, like I think
that's a monster season
for a guy that you weren't drafting in 15-team leagues. Like Perdomo was an afterthought. He was a DC guy pretty much only. This is just found money.
I think he was drafted in 15s, but maybe not as many 12s, right?
I don't think he was even drafted in 15s. I can double check the ADP real quick, but
people landed on an absolute gem with Perdomo. Then if he was found money, even I would have thought he was going in the 15s with a guaranteed spot on a good team. But
Perdomo was going in the last round on average of 15-team leagues. So
that means not even going in. Yeah, he went in 16 of the 57 mains.
Yeah. So like he was barely being drafted.
Yep.
Only 16 of those 57 main event leagues. That's crazy. Like that is just absolute found money. Even if you get barely anything from him rest of the way.
If you get nothing the rest of the way, it was
he's already
like quite literally. Like you cannot lose on Perdomo.
This is the definition of free. I know people get mad at me when I say
you
free,
have
you literally
already.
Yeah, you literally got a ton from him already, and now if you have to drop him, like whatever.
So I agree with you that the power, we're not going to extrapolate that. And I wouldn't even just do a full extrapolation on the speed, but I do think that's the component that I really like, because while he's never had this volume, 16 being the high, as you mentioned, for Perdomo, he's always been smart and efficient. And he's 11 for 11 this year. And I think he's really gotten some confidence on when to run and how to be an efficient or how to be a higher volume based stealer in the majors. And you point out that big 5-point spike in walk rate up to 14%, which is huge. So even as the batting average regresses, which again, I agree with you that it will probably fall off that 296 pace. But even if that comes down to say 275, if he's going to continue to walk and keep the on base going, I think the steals are going to be a huge, huge component here. So I love what Perdomo's doing. I buy a lot of what's going on here. I might even be open to buying high if you need speed, because I don't think that the asking price is going to be that egregious.
Yeah, I don't think the asking price is going to be high either. I can't imagine someone's going to ask you for like a top 200 player.
No.
For Geraldo Perdomo. So like, I think I would maybe try to buy high and see if someone is like, hey, oh yeah, you want him? Especially because he's in 15-team leagues specifically, but even I think in 12s, like the volume is going to be big.
Yeah, playing every day.
He's going to play every single day. Like that is not in question as long as he's healthy. And I mean, health could be an issue for him, right? Perdomo's never had a season with more than 500 plate appearances. He hit 500 exactly once in 2022. So hopefully he can just stay on the field and kind of accumulate, because that's really what he is he's an accumulator that can kind of give you a little bit of everything.
Looking at the other four here, again, there's no surprises, so I don't know how much analysis we have to do here on Elly De La Cruz, Bobby Witt Jr., Trea Turner, and Francisco Lindor. I guess I'll start with kind of a negative question. Do you have any concerns about any of these four? Like any of them giving you pause? No, I didn't think so. I just wanted to make sure, but like, again, I think it's a more fascinating discussion to get into some of the notables who are missing than to say too much about these four as is. Because again, these were all top round guys. Trea Turner was the cheapest.
Can we talk about someone who's not on your list, but
of the notables missing?
Yeah, like not even in your notables missing list.
Yeah. Who is it?
Over the last 30 days, and you mentioned too.
Oh, I know who it is.
Yeah, it's Zach Neto.
Yeah.
He's the number 3 shortstop over the last 30 days, and probably would be in this top 5 if not for the injury. Missing time at the beginning of the season. Like, this is a guy who's just quietly crushing the ball.
You've been a fan of his, so let's go ahead and set up what he's got going here. 9 homers, 8 steals already in 36 games, 282 average. He's been absolutely amazing. 23-30 last year. Definitely was cheaper because of the injury, so I understood why he was falling a bit, but those that stuck with him and decided to take the plunge with a pick around 200 for Zach Neto have been paid off handsomely. What are we looking at out of him the rest of the way? Again, you've been a big fan, and it's paying some dividends for you with Neto. What do you got for us the rest of the way?
I mean, he's just kind of doing everything he did last season, but better. All the contact numbers are in line, so we won't even talk about his own contact or O swing or something like that. But his average exit velocity this year is 5 miles an hour harder. 5. Jesus, his hard hit percentage this year has gone up from 38.6 to 51%. His barrel percentage has over doubled from 8.5% to almost 17.5%. Like, wow. Neto is crushing the ball, and he's not giving up the ability to make contact or swing decisions in order to hit that ball harder. And then you add in the fact that, like, this dude runs, right? He's on the Angels. Ron Washington likes to move it on the base paths.
Right.
He's only had 152 plate appearances. It was going to be a lot less than a lot of the guys we're going to talk about today. But 8 stolen bases, 9 home runs, hitting 282. I think Neto's a stud.
Yeah, I think he is too. And again, somebody that I might have had more of if he hadn't been hurt. I was definitely fading him because of the injury, but big respect to those who stuck around and said, you know what, I'm going to hold through this because the upside is too rich. I've been so speed light this year, just as a general principle across all my leagues. I am lacking steals, and I wish I had somebody like either Perdomo or Neto right now on any of my teams, to be honest. Let me ask you about the 30% K rate. Now, he has an 11% swinging strike rate, which is not that egregious. It's not somebody who's going to be like Luis Ariz, but I also don't think it's a 30% K rate. Are we going to see that improve from Neto as the season goes, you think?
I think we should. Like, he doesn't swing outside the zone an egregious amount. It's like 28.5%, which is actually better than last season. And like I said, he's got an 11% swinging strike rate. I think it could drop down to like that 25, 26% range.
Okay.
And that should be kind of where he lives. And I mean, all the projection systems even have it better, right? Like, Steamer and Zips and ATC and the Bat all have them at between 23 and 24%.
You know who he reminds me of a little bit? A teammate of his. What if I just give you that clue first?
A teammate of his.
Not Mike Trout, don't worry.
Are you talking about like a prime Tim Anderson type dude?
You're damn right I'm talking about a prime Tim Anderson, baby. You're damn right. That's exactly who I'm talking about. I know that might feel ugly right now because of where Tim Anderson is, but don't forget how dope Tim Anderson was.
I will say
things were clicking.
Tim Anderson was always a lot more aggressive.
Right. Like he deserved his strikeouts a bit more. Like I think Neto could be a low 20s K rate guy if he really got things in order. Whereas Tim Anderson lived more in that mid-20s, never took walks. Neto at least has a 5-6% walk rate, which again still isn't great. But with Tim Anderson, you're talking like 2-3%, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
But it is that sort of vibe of like maybe the plate skills don't jump off the page to you, the strikeout and walk rates, but the power and speed is there, and he keeps the ball in play enough. He gets hits when he puts the ball in play enough to maintain a good batting average. So that's kind of who I'm seeing here from Neto, but even maybe a better version, maybe a more bankable version of that peak Tim Anderson from Neto, because I also think he's somebody who could continue to develop. He's 24 years old. Like, I do not think we're seeing the best of him just yet. I've really, really started to fall in love with Zach Neto starting last summer when he was breaking through.
I think what we're seeing is a more powerful version of Tim Anderson, right? It's like Anderson never had, he had 120 home runs
120 something season, right?
Yeah, it was 20 flat, right? He's never had more than 20 home runs in his season. And he only had that one season where he even hit 20. Whereas Neto, like, I legit think could hit 30 plus bombs.
So maybe trading some average upside for the power upside. But that sort of vibe is what I'm getting, and that's not a bad vibe. Peak Tim Anderson, again, was a good player, and if you're adding power to that, that's something to really like. So great call out there with Zach Neto. Let's talk about two that are notably missing here. One is right there, Mookie Betts. We don't have to talk too much about him. He's 9. He is right on the cusp there. 31 ribbies, 41 runs, 5 steals, 8 homers, 257 average. The average is coming in a bit light right now. You had some trepidation about Mookie Betts this year. I think it's mostly due to the health profile recently. How are you feeling about him at this juncture right now? Do you think the average comes up? Does he stay where he's at? Because I think he's fine even if he is just where he's at right now. But where do you like Mookie the rest of the way?
Yeah, I think Mookie's going to be fine as long as he's healthy. His numbers are almost directly in line with where they were last year in terms of the underlying metrics. We may not see, prime Mookie, and maybe we're past the days where he's a 35, homer guy.
Sure.
And I don't think he's stealing 20, 30 bags.
Nah, he's a teens stealer these days.
But like, I think he should be, low to mid 20s, homers, teen stolen bases with a good batting average. I think all of the contact skills are still intact, and he's going to be one of these guys that threatens for a 300 batting average, in any given year. Right now, he's getting a little bit unlucky, and I think that'll turn itself around. So he's got a 257 batting average, 276 XBA. The X slug is higher than the slug. So I think things are going to be better for Mookie. I think it's just been a little bit of a slow start. And the most important thing is the health. And he's been healthy this year. So I'm not worried about Mookie Betts at all.
Me neither. And I would buy high because you're not going to get a discount. So I'm not even going to pretend that you would. But I would pay the full premium that I need to, because I think there's going to be batting average goodness. And even if that goodness is only 275, 280, I'll take that because he's in the 250s right now. I think he can hit 275, 280 the rest of the way with the rest of his numbers. We got to talk about the other guy. Now, he hasn't been terrible either. And I'm talking about Gunnar Henderson right now. He hasn't been terrible. He's at 15. But is the stink of Baltimore impacting him? And I ask that specifically because he has 15 ribbies, dude. 28 runs scored, 261 average, 6 steals, 7 homers for Gunnar Henderson. Obviously, nothing is going well in Baltimore with that ball club. Do you have any concerns that the stink of that team holds Gunnar down? And I'm specifically talking about those ribbies. Or do you think that things turn with the offense as the summer develops?
I hope they turn, but I mean, I really don't know that you can say they're gonna at this point.
So bad. At least the offense isn't as bad as the pitching, though.
Yeah, but like 15 RBIs.
I know. I'm stunned by that.
That is unreal. When you're hitting the third spot in the lineup, like you've got to be getting more than that.
Holiday has 23.
Yeah, it's just
15 ribbies. What the hell, dude?
I don't even know what to say with that, to be quite honest. Like, I mean, part of it is like, and we talked about Adley, right? Adley's been struggling, but I also think Adley's been unlucky. And I think in the same extent, like Gunnar's been unlucky. Like there's nothing in the profile of Gunnar Henderson that says like, hey, he's going to be bad this year, or that this isn't going to get better as the season moves on. Like all the contact skills are just in line. His average exit velocity is almost 2 miles per hour better than it was last year. He's got a 56.5 hard hit percentage. I think he's going to be fine. Like, I think Adley's going to be fine. I think the Orioles, at least offensively, are going to be fine. Pitching wise, like still a problem. But
I don't see where the cavalry's coming to help. There is no cavalry.
No, and like I mean, at this point, they're going to be sellers, right? Like they're 15 games back in the division. Like,
and the crazy thing about that is the division, I mean, outside of the Yankees, isn't really popping off. No. It is just the Yankees kind of running away and hiding. The Rays and Jays are kind of around 500. The Red Sox just under. And then the Orioles have just been atrocious. So would you be buying the Rutschmans and the Gunners of the world on that ball club, thinking that the summer's going to go better for them?
I would. Yeah, absolutely would. I have no problem buying. Like 15 RBIs is insane. Like that's, like
that's anomalous.
If you can get like I would trade a 4th round pick for Gunnar Henderson right now.
Yeah. If I can get any sort of discount, which I think you can, because again, there is a lot of stink on Baltimore right now that I think you can actually get a discount. I would definitely explore that and take it and take that discount with Gunnar and buy. And same with Adley. He's a guy I just can't quit yet. I know the Matt Wieters comps are getting stronger by the moment, but I'm still sticking with him. And I think you'll get a real discount on him because his second half was bad last year too. I
think too, like even if Baltimore sells, right? Like they're the type of team that could sell and not get worse.
Right. They go Tiger style where they sell and then all of a sudden things start rallying and they play. Not that they would make the playoffs, but just that they would play fine.
Like if you look at like the pieces that they would sell, because they're not selling Adley, they're not selling Gunnar, right? They're not selling any of these young pieces or the ones they just signed. They'd be like selling like Ryan O'Hearn. They'd be selling Ryan Mountcastle. They'd be selling Cedric Mullins, and they've got pieces that can backfill on those guys. So like they could sell those guys to replenish the farm or to grab pitching or whatever.
Get some pitching prospects. Yep.
And then not actually be any worse offensively when Colton Cowser comes back. If they wanted to add like a Mayo onto the roster type thing, like they would probably not really even take a step back. So
no, I totally agree with that.
I think even if they're sellers, like I don't think I'm worried about Henderson or Adley like not having the support around him. I think the support would be just the same, if not better.
Yep. Totally agree with that. And as such, that's why I'm not going to have any real concerns about buying in on some of these Orioles hitters that maybe aren't doing their best yet. Oneil Cruz is right there. If people are wondering, like, hey, they haven't said anything about Oneil Cruz. He's 6. He's like right there. He's $1.40 behind Lindor. Are we seeing the breakout? Do you think that this is going to be the full scale breakout? We got 18 steals already. He had 22 all of last year, has 11 homers, had 21 all of last year. Still has an average issue, 231 average, but doubled his walk rate up to 16% this year to really take some of the sting out of those out of that 30% K rate, which is actually at 32% this year. So where are you at on Oneil Cruz? Are we finally seeing the full scale breakout after last year's quality 2020 season?
I mean, I think we are. At the same time, like a lot of the issues that are there or that were there before are still there. So
sure. The swing and miss.
I don't want to say like, oh, he's now arrived. He's going to be a stud forever, because he's still making below sub 80% zone contact.
But how many hits do you have at 117 miles an hour off the bat?
He's insane. He's
just absolutely bonkers, dude.
Like his max exit velocity this year is 122.9. Like that's
shut up.
It's unreal. Like what he's doing is he's just become he's taken a better approach into at bats, right? He's willing to not swing at something in order to make sure he's having the most powerful contact possible when he does make contact. So like I do think that there are going to be slumps. There are going to be times, because you just can't not slump with the contact skills
with 30% K rate. Yep.
Yeah, like it's just there's going to be slumps. But I mean, we thought the highs were high before, and now I think the highs are higher. So, yeah, I mean, I love Oneil Cruz. I do think he's not someone I would sell high on. That's for sure.
No, I'm riding this out. Even if you drafted him, you planned for the batting average, or if you didn't, that's your own fault. Yeah. But like you knew coming in that there's going to be some batting average woes. Okay, you're taking the fantasy juice around it with Oneil Cruz, and you got to be happy with everything that you're getting right now. I do want to talk a little Jacob Wilson. Let's go to the other end of the spectrum there as far as the contact profile goes. He's sitting at number 8, and he got a lot of Luis Ariz comps, and I was among those who threw those comps on him. And I think I don't think that was completely out of pocket to do so, looking at what he was coming in. However, I think he's exceeded those. He brings way more fantasy juice than we ever see out of Arise from the power and speed. He's already got 6 homers, 4 steals. I don't know that Arise has ever had 6 homers. Okay, he has a 10 homer season. I stand corrected. But like you've never gotten a double season out of Luis Arise. I think you have a chance to have double by the All-Star break for Jacob Wilson. Is he emerging into a true fantasy stud here this year?
I mean, maybe. I mean, obviously, I think the home park helps Jacob Wilson.
Sure.
If you look at actually, he's got 3 home runs on the road too. So like, it's 3-3.
I didn't even know that. I thought you were going to tell me it was 6-0 or something. But
I thought
plus
it was
they're
like
staying
5-1. Yeah, and he's doing damage against lefties and righties. He hitting .415 against left-handed pitching.
Dude, he's been unreal.
.331 against right-handed pitching. Like he's just been good. Like this is a guy who. And I made the comment, I can't remember, I think it was in the preseason. I was like this guy could win the batting title, and I think he is going to win the batting title. But the fact you're actually getting some power and some stolen bases on top of that is just really, really interesting. Yeah, I think he is the premium version of Arise, which is weird to say when you're talking about Arise, who's won 3 consecutive batting titles. But like, yeah, you're getting at least a little bit of pop and speed. Still something you have to make up for. But I think he's a stud.
I think he is too. He's
just an old school type player, kind of stud dude. Like you pulled a dude from the 40s that like is now playing in 2025, but he's making it work.
It's just been so good with Jacob Wilson that it's hard not to be remarkably excited if you picked him up in the mid 300s.
Oh, hit another bomb today.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even know that. Big error on my part. Never put him on the rundown of the second shortstop preview episode, so we didn't even discuss him there. What an asshole I am for that one, because I didn't even get a chance to get your thoughts and have you tell the people to go draft Jacob Wilson. But he's been fantastic. Anybody else here at shortstop that's catching your eye to the positive or negative?
I mean, Javi Baez, like
Javi freaking Baez, baby. You mean center fielder extraordinaire?
Yeah, like this is. I mean, I guess he could be third base, short, outfield. You could be wherever you want Javi Baez to be, but I don't understand how he's doing this. Like, it's just this is such a weird renaissance from a 32-year-old.
I think the major thing is just that he's healthy. He's not that fundamentally different than the Baez that we've seen previously.
No, he is.
In fact,
he is fundamentally different.
What is different?
He has got his highest zone contact of his career, 86.3%. It's a guy who for his career has been below 80%. And like he has completely changed his approach with that. He's making more contact. He's not trying to swing for the fences every time.
Well, how come the strikeout walk rates are the exact same? In fact, the walk rate is much shittier. It's 3%, and it's usually 4 or 5%. And then the strikeouts still 24%, which is what it was last year. So again, I didn't go second level there, and that's my fault. Glad you brought up the zone contact in this case for Baez, because it does show a big change here. So swinging strike rate's the same, strikeout rate's the same, walk rate's even worse, and yet the approach is better and it's delivering better results. How do you square those two things together with Baez?
It is such a weird profile. I will say, like, I feel like, did he get eye surgery or something in the off season? Like I like, cause
I don't know. I know his hip was a big problem last year.
This is like really indicative of someone who's like just seeing the ball better.
Right.
Like, because he's not even being more aggressive at the plate or more passive at the plate. He's just making better contact. And maybe this is something that falls apart. And we go at the end of the season, we go and look and we go, oh no, at the end of the season, he finished with like an 82% zone contact. And he was just running hot at the start of the season. Because if you look at like the XBA on Baez, it's 239. And if he was in 239, we would be like, oh, look, it's a new Javi Baez. Probably
we'd be like, ho hum. Now, I don't know if you saw it. Did you see him get ejected the other day?
No.
He got ejected for arguing balls and strikes, and he was correct. Do you know how bad of an umpire you have to be when Javier Baez is showing you up rightly on a missed strike call? It was actually a really egregiously bad call on Javi. But yeah, he's been playing a lot better. He's got some great moments, some walk-off moments, some huge homers, 6 homers already, matching his entire total from last year in 289 plate appearances. He's now done another 6 homers in 165 plate appearances. I don't fully buy everything here, but can he be a 245 hitter with 12 more homers the rest of the year for Baez?
Yeah. Especially because he's playing every day in center field. Like
exactly.
I think just the volume alone can get him there. So.
Now, when Meadows comes back, he won't play as much center, but I think he'll move back on the dirt and still play. I think he's going to be a super util who gets in most days while he's performing.
Well, I think especially with Vierling getting hurt again.
Yes, right back on the IL, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I think there's easily, transition back to third base where he can just play every day. But I think Baez will play every day, which is a big change from last year when he really wasn't.
I mean, they were doing everything they could to not play him, and then he got the hip injury, and then he was gone. So, yeah. Okay, anybody else at shortstop before we go over to the hot corner?
Let's talk about like a couple like really, really disappointing guys. Corey Seager has negative auction value.
I noticed that, dude. Talk about a team with a stink over at Texas. Ugh.
Yeah. And I mean, part of it is he just hasn't played very much because he's been hurt himself.
Which is always your biggest concern with him as a Seager hater.
But yeah, Texas is just terrible too. Like,
they're so bad, dude.
So far on the season, he has I think it's an insane line, right?
You know what's crazy, by the way, real quick on Seager? He has 12 ribbies, and he's only played 26 games. He's only 3 ribbies behind Gunnar Henderson, just to put into focus more about those bad ribby totals for Gunnar.
6 home runs for Seager. He has 12 RBIs and 15 runs scored, which means he has only gotten hits or runs batted in on 6 players, right? Like that's
unbelievable.
That's an insane line. So but like I said, part of it I think is the lack of time, right?
The bulk of it, but why is he negative? Is it because he doesn't add any steals?
Yeah,
because he's hitting 300 with the 6 and 12, like you said. It's a 144 WRC plus, so there's no real reason for panic with Seager. But I was stunned when I saw that he was negative dollar value, minus 40 cents. He's taking money out your pocket right now.
Yeah, and another guy who is negative dollar value is Ezequiel Tovar.
Yes, which I know. Go ahead, do it. Take your victory lap on it.
I'm not actually going to take a victory lap on this one because it's not for the reason. Again, this is a playing time thing or health thing.
A big part of it is the fact that he hasn't played as much. Yeah.
But it's also the Rockies are just terrible.
Another team with a big stink on him. Now he's played 27 games. He's got 2-2 on the homers and ribbies, 284 average. Where do you come out on that? Because he's still like riding that BABIP, and he does have a 10-point improvement in the strikeout rate from 29 to 19. Oh. Anything there for Tovar that you like?
I like the fact he's actually making a crap ton more contact than he ever has. That is really, really intriguing. Now, there's still a lot of issues with the approach. He still swings outside of the zone 45% of the time. But this
45.
45.
Javi Baez on line 1 here.
Well, and I was literally about to say, this is like peak Javi Baez.
Yeah, this is a Baez starter kit right here. Absolutely.
Right? He is swinging almost 80% of the time in the zone and 45% outside of the zone. However, he is making a lot better contact within the zone, like almost 90% zone contact right now. And so, like, his XBA right now is actually like over 300. It's 322.
Wow. So,
like, in spite of the fact that he's running a, super high BABIP as Rockies players always do, the X stats are saying, like, hey, he's actually getting unlucky here. And I think he will be better rest of the way. But I am a little concerned about the amount of time he's missed. I mean, he's only got 118 plate appearances. And then the team around him, again, terrible. 9 RBIs so far this year.
Yeah, even accounting for the fact that Tovar hasn't been playing all year, 9 ribbies is just absolutely ridiculous. And let's remember, plays half his games in the best hitter's park ever created. So that is pretty freaking crazy for Tovar, but I do like what he's been doing so far there. So, yeah, I guess no victory lap to be taken. It is mostly just the playing time situation.
And then one final shout out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Dansby Swanson, who
your boy.
The number 2 shortstop over the last 30 days.
Oh, wow. So he's surging.
And yeah, he's been absolutely fantastic. And I believe on the season he's the 7th shortstop. Right. So like he's just been back to being who he is. He's healthy this year. He's hitting the ball hard. He's stealing bases, 11 home runs, 7 stolen bases already. I think he's getting a little bit unlucky in terms of the batting average. The XBA is at like 274. But he's making really good contact. Like, dude is hitting the ball hard again. He's above 80%. He's almost 82% zone contact, which is he was below 80% last year. But I think a lot of it was just he was banged up, and this year he's healthy and kind of producing like he should.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with what Dansby Swanson's been doing. Hit 16 homers all of last year, in a full season too. 149 games, 593 plate appearances. Already has 11 this year with the 7 steals on 9 attempts. You gotta love what you're getting out of him. Hit me with some breaking news. What do you got?
Breaking news: Kyle Gibson is signing with the Rays, baby.
Oh snap, man! Imagine if he pops off, or even is just like capable for them, and the Orioles couldn't get anything from him, and then the Rays do. I mean, that would be so Rays.
Jason just sent a gun emoji to a head emoji in the text.
Let's be clear that in that park, this has a chance to go very, 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 very sideways.
Yes, this is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, like DFS stack and all that sort of stuff. Like this could go very haywire for our boy Kyle. I'm rooting for you, but
Florida is a great place to reopening a landscape.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, plenty of great landscape.
How many people do you think listening even remember this joke?
A decent handful. Okay. That he's my landscaper. Yeah, for those that don't know, I mean, it's too deep to really go into all of it, but
because this joke's got to be like 5 years old at this point, right?
Minimum, dude.
Right? How long have you been in the new place, right?
Almost 5 years. And so I was back in my old apartment. Mm-hmm. The fact that it was a joke that we'd record whatever time we recorded.
We could record at 6 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock at night.
On any day.
The landscaper would show up.
Was there.
Yeah.
Which was crazy. And so we were making a joke that it was Kyle Gibson because I used to roast Kyle Gibson even when he was pretty good. I'd be like, I don't buy it. So he became a meme of like, he's the landscaper out there getting back at me for roasting him. And that's how the joke blossomed from there. But it was crazy how often the landscapers were there, regardless of. I understand, if we recorded every time at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday and they were there, we'll be like, okay, we'll stop recording at that time. It did not effing matter when we recorded. It was insane, but it was also very funny and became a pretty fun meme. All right, let's go to the hot corner. And, not actually the first one is a surprise just because rewind your brain back to the beginning of the year when dumbasses wanted to cut this guy. Do we need to get rid of Rafael Devers? Idiots. So he's number 1. José Ramírez. His teammate Alex Bregman is at 3, although that's going to fall because of his injury, of course. Manny Machado at 4, and then Eugenio Suárez at 5. So definitely some surprises. Bregman was a pick 110. Suárez was 169. So there's surprises in that they're top 5, but it's not that surprising that they've been good. Right? Like nobody's shocked that Alex Bregman was awesome before he went on the IL. You shouldn't be that shocked that Devers got back on track because while there were things that were going bad, he wasn't playing well. He missed spring, all the stuff about the position move and all that. It was still like a week of playing time that people were trying to make big decisions off of. And he's rallied now to be the best third baseman going. And then with Suárez, he gets hot like this, right? He was disastrous in the first half of last year. And then arguably one of the top 5-10 players in the second half last year, not just at third base, but like in baseball. And he's just carried that over, has a 4-homer game under his belt, 15 homers on the season. So when you look at this top 5 at the hot corner here, you've got Ramírez and Machado that are very much expected, Devers pretty expected, and then Bregman and Suárez who are a little bit unexpected, but still, competent players. Anybody jump out as like a huge surprise here to you?
No, not really. I guess Suárez a little bit, only because Suárez typically starts slow and then
cooks,
and then cooks. So we're just
is he going to go the other way? Are
He
you worried about
could.
that? I mean, he's hitting 228. He's kind of already down on the average, so the power's there. And like, even if you take out the 4-homer game, that's still 11 homers, right? So
Yeah.
you can't just say it's like, oh, the 4-homer
No, I
game.
mean, like this dude's on pace for 40 plus bombs. Like,
And that's what I was going to ask you. Is he going to get back to 40? Because he's done that before.
he could absolutely. I mean, in this offense, like I'm not putting it past him. So like, I'm not selling him.
Do you start anybody but aces against Arizona right now?
No.
I've got them as aces only.
Yeah, I think they're aces only for sure.
Yeah, it's terrifying to go against them. With
you got
anybody
Perdomo, who we just talked about, is hitting 7th and 9th in this lineup.
Yep.
Like it's unreal, like how good that offense is.
That it really is crazy.
And now Corbin Burns is turning it on, so it's all like
I know he's dialing in.
If you want to read something quick and easy and really good, Lance Rostowski did a write-up on Corbin Burns earlier today.
Lance.
So
I will definitely be checking that out. Let's talk Bregman a little bit because he does have this quad injury that is expected to be pretty significant here.
He said in his post-game interview afterwards that it feels just as bad, if not worse, than the last time he did this. And he missed 2 months. 2 months the last time this happened. So
are you holding?
For now, I am until we get a concrete timetable.
In all formats?
I think so.
I think I want to as well, but what's the cutoff? Yeah, exactly. What's the cutoff where you start to make some tough decisions?
I mean, we're technically at the beginning of June, right? So like, we're about to be, or at least by the time we get to waivers on Sunday, we'll begin June. If he's going to miss 2 months, it means he's going to miss all of June, all of July. I think you can cut him.
I think so too. At that point,
I think
even in like a 15-teamer.
I think I would try to hold him, but I think you can't, if you're like decimated with injuries and you're waiting on, I don't know, Colton Gauser to come back, or you've got
any number of pitchers,
that are like going to be back in the next 3 weeks or something like that. I think you prioritize those guys. And
we're talking primarily in NFBC universe where there are no IL spots. Obviously, in leagues with IL spots, Bregman gets a priority to hold over a lot of different guys. But let me ask you this. Let's say it is the 2 months that you're talking about here. Puts him on like a late July, early August target. And people do start cutting him. When do you start to look to maybe swoop in and get him?
The moment you have the room. Like
a free spot, and then you just try to hold as long as you can, and then if you have to cut him, you do that. But as long as you have a free spot, you go for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, so I think that makes a lot of sense.
And like I did this with like Josh Lowe and TGFBI, right? Like Josh Lowe was dropped, after he got hurt with the oblique injury, but like, most teams were banged up, but my team was really, really healthy, and I'm like, screw it, I'm just gonna pick him up. Like,
might as well.
If I need to drop him again, like I'll drop him again. But if I can get a Josh Lowe for $4, which I think is what I got him for, I'm gonna take it. And so far, he's hitting 298, 340, 489 with 2 home runs and 3 stolen bases one stolen base in 50 plate appearances. Like that was worth it because I didn't have other people on my IL. Right, I was remarkably healthy.
Right, and that's the key there is that you had the spot to do it. So you went ahead and got Josh Lowe, and I would do the same with Bregman. And then, like you said, maybe 2 weeks down the road, you're in the position where you have to cut him, but you at least take the shot.
Yeah.
And you see how long you can get with it. So I'm with you. The second, if he starts getting cut,
as long as you can do it cheaply too,
yes.
Right?
Oh yeah.
I don't be going out and spending $100 to hold
$12 type
of thing. Yeah. If you can go get him for $20, fine. Like, but don't be dropping $100 or $200 to go get him and hold on to him for 2 months because there's always the chance that there's a setback. And all of a sudden, he's not back until September.
I jumped. I like I told you, I'm speed desperate, so I jumped Johnny DeLuca in hopes of kind of doing the Josh Lowe thing that you did. He just had a setback, got put on the 60, and I got to cut him this week.
Yeah.
So, you take these shots, but you got to know that they could fail as well. So, keep an eye on Bregman. If he gets cut in your league, go for him very cheap and then hold as long as you can. You might have to also cut, but that's okay. All right, let's talk about some guys who are missing here because when you look at the ADP top 5, the number 2 guy is missing, and it isn't just the health. It is Jazz Chisholm. He's only played 125 plate appearances. He does have 6 steals and 7 homers in that time, but a 181 average. So what are we looking at? Like the fantasy juice is there, but what are we looking at when he gets back for Jazz Chisholm?
I mean, that's really good.
He's coming from an oblique, by the way, too. I just want to point that out, which is always scary.
He was definitely getting lucky, right? 200 BABIP. He's a career 303 guy. The XBA was 213, which is still not good.
Sure.
But much better. It's just his swing decisions have been terrible. He's making 72.5% zone contact this year. And, for context, like I always try to give, like 80% is that threshold of whether or not you're a major leaguer.
You said he was at 73?
He's at 72.5.
Good Lord.
So
that's brutal for Jazz. That's brutal.
I mean, to give you like even more context, among qualified hitters, there's only one hitter, or actually there's two hitters. This is really interesting. You ready? Two hitters below that threshold. One is Gabriel Arias.
Okay.
The other is Rafael Devers.
Oh, wow.
So, but this is something Rafael Devers has been able to do over the
course of his career and
succeed with. And one of the things where like I look and I go, I think as he slows down physically, like, I think he's going to have a major fall off at some point.
Sure.
Right? Like a Javi
I think
Baez.
That's fair.
It's because it's very similar to like a Javi Baez kind of issue where it's like, oh, he can do it right now because he's just so physically gifted, but eventually this is going to fall off. You have to wonder how much of the injury has affected kind of these underlying skills for Chisholm. Because at the same time, like he's not swinging outside the zone, or at least he wasn't when he was on the field, right? He had a 21% O swing, which was really far and away the best of his career.
Yeah.
So he's actually being able to identify what's in the zone. He's just making poor decisions about what to swing it inside of the zone, which is a little bit concerning, but he's also one of those guys that is kind of a free swinger in some respects. So I feel like it would turn around for Chisholm. Like I do think this is a guy that if I could buy low on, especially right now while he's on the IL, that I would.
Right.
It's been clear to start his rehab assignment, so he's going to be back in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So I think I would buy low right now on Chisholm if I had the opportunity, but there is risk, right? This is a guy who just has been hurt a lot of his career off and on. And last year he was able to stay healthy for the first time for the full season. And I think people went overboard in terms of where they were drafting him. But that being said,
lofty.
If you could get him at like a 4th or 5th round price, I think you're doing it, right?
Yes, absolutely. Because the fantasy juice is there. You take the batting average risk and the injury risk with it with Jazz Chisholm if you can get him at a discount. Totally agree there. A guy who is missing, he was the third baseman off the board, but isn't that far out, is Austin Riley. He's sitting right there at 8. So he's still top 10. You got 8 homers, couple steals, 28 ribbies, 26 runs, 272 average. No real concerns there, right, with Riley?
No. He's going to be fine.
Let's just jump to this group here then. The 6, 7, 8 guys were 3 guys on the rise, none of whom have a lengthy track record, but this sort of speaks to the dearth, or excuse me, the 7, 8, 9 guys. This sort of speaks to the dearth over at third base. And so that's why Jordan Westburg, Mark Vientos, and Jake Berger were the 7, 8, 9 guys. We know Berger actually got sent out. He's been the best of the bunch at negative $1.20, Vientos negative $1.90, and Westburg negative $11. Now, the bulk of that is the fact that he has 98 plate appearances, but he didn't do shit in the midst of that 98 plate appearances either. Of those 3, who do you like the rest of the way?
I like Berger and I like Vientos. I like both of them. I think they're both going to hit for power, and they just had their cold streaks at the beginning of the season.
Yep.
And I think they're going to be, better rest of the way. Like, you just got to be able to deal with the ups and downs of them. I think for me, it's always been Westburg. I've never been a big fan.
And I was sold, and I jumped in, and so far so bad, but we'll see.
Yeah, I just see Westburg as an accumulator, which there's nothing wrong with being an accumulator. I like
until you miss time.
Until you can't accumulate, right?
Right.
I like the accumulators, like, and then this year, obviously, invoking this name, isn't great because Simeon has been so bad, but
right.
Simeon's always been an accumulator. He's never been a quote unquote star in terms of like his hit, like his power or speed or whatever, but he just plays nonstop. And you look at the end of the season and go, holy crap, dude racked up 700 plate appearances, and that totaled out to 25 home runs and 15
infield
bases.
Hunter Pence.
Yeah, exactly. Right. The problem with Westberg is because he doesn't have that carrying tool for fantasy, and he has not been able to stay healthy yet. Like, there's just not enough there that makes sense to take him, especially where he was going. And I think one of these issues that we face almost every single season with different players in the fantasy industry is this idea that, oh, this young guy was good last year, next year he's going to be great,
even better. Yep.
And that just doesn't, like, sometimes it happens, absolutely, right? But like, we have to like not just assume it's going to happen. Otherwise, that's why people were like disappointed in Jeremy Pena, right? They're like, oh, look what he did in his rookie season, now he's going to take the next step. What if that was the last step, right?
And remind me again where you ranked Spencer Schwellenbach real quick.
How dare you?
I'm just saying, go ahead real quick. What was it?
I'm still on Spencer Schwellenbach. There's
I know,
nothing wrong with Spencer Schwellenbach.
22% K rate. Sorry, got a little scratch in my throat there. No, I'm teasing. He's got a 3.42 ERA, 105 WHIP. There's nothing to be upset about with Schwelle. I just want to give you a hard time there. But you're right. And it is tough, right? Because obviously some guys will advance and continue to grow, but most don't. In fact, after the breakout year, a lot of guys backslide. And then the year after that is when they come through,
because
right? Like
teams get a book on you, right?
Right,
like teams
right.
get like they get
So they
a whole
adjust,
off season.
then
They've
you
got
readjust.
everybody but the Rockies has a department that is there devoted to spend the off season to figure you guys out, and the Orioles just don't get to play the Rockies that much.
Right. It's just unfortunate that
Rockies
they don't.
fans sitting here going like, why are you guys doing this to us?
The hell they do to me.
Aren't
We
in
have
enough pain already?
Literally zero beef with Rockies fans, and frankly, I don't really have much beef with any of their players. It is entirely their front office, the most inept front office.
Yeah, and I can't remember what organization it was where like there was an interview with like somebody within the organization. They're like, "Well, what's your analytics department?" And they were like, "You mean Jeff?" And you went, "Oh no!" I can't remember what team it was though. This is a while ago.
If you ask the Rockies, they're like, "You mean Baseball Reference?"
Yeah, we listened to Sleeper in the Bus, so like
And they call us the paste eaters. It doesn't seem like a very flattering. Shouts to Jeff Erickson on that one. Number 7 is Maikel Garcia. And he's having the breakthrough that a lot of people were excited about and thought that he could have. He was a post 200 pick. He's got 5 bombs, 10 steals, 308 average, 25 ribbies, and 21 runs. How much of this do we believe? Because the real big jump has been the power. He hit 7 homers all of last year and played 157 games. He's already got 5 this year. Is there some legitimacy to that with Maikel Garcia? Because if so, we could be in the midst of a true breakout.
I mean, if people want to go back and listen to the last episode, we did talk about him because he is eligible at second base. But
oh yeah, that's right. I forgot, to be honest.
I mean,
that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it's been a week, right? There is a little bit of legitimacy to the power, but like I don't think he's ever going to be a 25 homer dude. I think he's probably a 15. 17.
That's homers. Still dope though. That's
you'll take it because it's going to come with like 30 to 40 plus stolen bases. Like I think there is, there is a lot of like a better version of CJ Abrams in this profile, like a CJ Abrams who can take walks.
I like that. I like that comparison.
Right,
I see where you're going with that.
Where like he's never going to necessarily be like a power hitter, but he could hit 20 plus homers.
Mm-hmm.
And he just makes so much damn contact. Plus he walks. I really like Maikel Garcia. I was high on him coming into the year. I felt like a lot of people felt like last year was a disappointment. In the batting average it was, but
yeah, I think that's why. But 37 steals.
I think too, people were like they thought there was going to be more power last season.
Yep,
and
I was one of those.
To me, I was like, you got 37 stolen bases from the dude. Who makes a ton of contact. And I always felt like the batting average was going to come back because he had a 268 BABIP. And the contact skills are really, really good. Last year it was almost 91% zone contact. This year, 92.5% zone contact, and hitting the ball just as hard, and elevating it, right? He's gone up from a 30.7% fly ball rate to a 36% fly ball rate. Like, these are all things you really like to see from Maikel Garcia, and I do think that he's just continue to kind of grow year to year and maybe even puts on a little bit more power. And we do see this guy who is like a CJ Abrams with a walking ability.
Yeah, I was somebody who thought the power could be there last year for Maikel Garcia, but I did not go so far as to say, oh, he sucked because he didn't have the power breakthrough. I acknowledge the 37 steals were great and actually kind of made up for the fact that he hit 231. Like, if you're going 37 for 39 on the bases, there's fantasy value in that, even if the rest of the stuff didn't quite come along for Maikel Garcia. I'd be remiss, and Jason Collette would be very upset with me if I didn't at least bring up the fact that Dylan Moore is in the 9 slot here. He's got 8 and 8 on the homers and steals, 21 runs, 16 ribs, only has 139 plate appearances, right? Because he's mostly a short side platoon guy, qualifies every damn place. Is he the Willie Castro this year, or is this flash in the pan going to kind of go back to being meh with Dylan Moore? Where are we at? Because he's been awesome so far. I can't deny it.
I mean, I think he's going to go back to being meh. Like, it just...
Justin said it, not me, Jason.
Here's the thing, like,
even though Justin's right,
what the Mariners have done with Moore this year is just optimize him so well,
right?
And so the hard part is, how well are they going to be able to sustain that? He's getting super lucky, 20.5% homer to fly ball rate. Like, for a guy who's been a 12% guy his entire career and 8% last year, that's going to come back down to earth. Like, he isn't really that good of a hitter, especially against righties. And like you said, like, this is why he's going to kind of short side platoon. The stolen bases are legit. Like, he's going to steal bases. But it's hard because an interesting stat. So he's hitting 256 against righties, which I don't think is going to sustain.
I was gonna say that's actually awesome for Dylan Moore right now because he's usually way lower.
Yeah, he's running like a 321 BABIP against righties this year when he has been a career
272 and 191 average, or 199. So, excuse me.
Like, that's gonna come back down to earth, but all of his stolen bases are against right-handed pitching this year.
That's the part that I was going to bring up as well. So I'm glad you brought that up for Dylan Moore. That's really hilarious. That
he mostly plays versus lefties, but all of his stolen bases are against righties.
That is so weird and funny.
So, like, this is one I definitely want to revisit in a month or two. And I hope we remember to, because I have no idea. I really don't.
Same.
Like, this, none of it makes sense. And I do think it's going to kind of fall apart. But I think you just ride it until it does. Like, I don't think I'm necessarily selling high because I don't think you're going to get much.
And there was no fantasy.
Anyways,
there was no cost.
And he's like eligible everywhere.
Yeah,
right?
It's house money.
Like, at this point, he's eligible at second base, third base, first base, outfield. I think shortstop in some leagues. I'm pretty sure you can have him do your taxes in April. Like he can pretty much do it all. So, like, he's one of those guys you just throw on your bench, especially in like daily moves leagues where you can, switch your lineup every day. Like, he just fills every position when you need someone to fill. And so, like, I think you're just kind of stuck with him until he falls apart, and then you drop him when he does.
And in fairness to Jason, I think his love of Dylan Moore comes in AL only.
Yeah.
And a guy like that in AL only is a godsend. Yeah, that is like absolutely awesome. All right. Anybody else here at the hot corner that has caught your eye this year?
I mean, I guess if we're just bagging on, or if we're taking victory laps and bagging on people, I guess I should do the opposite and eat some crow, right? Royce Lewis has been atrocious. Now, part of it is like
most of it is the health, right?
It's been health, right? He just hasn't played, but he's been atrocious since he's come back.
He has.
I don't think this is going to continue. I just think he's too talented of a guy, and like this isn't like, I'm not even going to do like a statistical breakdown of Lewis. But if I did, like, I'd actually tell you that all of his underlying numbers seem better than they were last year. It's like
So would you go out and buy?
Absolutely.
Okay, me too.
I just,
Me too.
as long as Royce Lewis is healthy, I think he's going to be good. So if you can get him, and I think this could be like a traditional buy low where you
Absolutely
get Royce Lewis as a throw in on a deal.
Yep. Like a real discount. Someone disgusted with him, like, just get this guy off my roster. I'm tired of him.
Or he could just be on your wire in a 10-team league, maybe even some 12-team leagues. I would go pick him up immediately. I just think there's so much talent here, and I'm really not that worried about the overall profile.
I'd be remiss not to maybe sample a little Crow myself, and we'll see how it goes, because there's still some pretty ugly plate skills, and it is a 386 BABIP. Look at me trying to admit wrongness on something while couching it in how right I'm going to be in the future. But so far, so good for Connor Norby. But again, I'm going to be realistic. The 386 BABIP, the 29% K rate, and 4% walk rate still give me a lot of pause. But to this point, you can't argue with a 285 average, 3 homers, and 4 steals in 130 plate appearances. So we'll see where it's going. But check in with me at the end of the year on Norby. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Norby has made some gains in the contact profile, which make him more interesting to me than I was prior. Because I was not in on Norby either. I didn't think he'd be very good. He's getting extremely lucky right now. A 233 XBA. So if he was hitting 233, are we thinking
I wouldn't have even brought him up.
Yeah,
except maybe the victory.
So, but that being said, like it is good to see him above 80% zone contact. He's at 82%. He is making better swing decisions, which is good. I just have a really hard time with a guy that I don't think has very much power in the bat. Yes. I don't think he's very fast. He's in a terrible park for a guy who doesn't have a ton of power in the bat.
Yep.
And he's surrounded by a terrible team. So
you're outlining all of my concerns beautifully here.
I do think that he is going to not be very good by the end of the season, but there are some things in the underlying profile that makes me go, okay, maybe he can sustain some of this.
Okay. And we'll keep tabs on him because, again, if he does end up having a good season, I know the Connor Norby fans are gonna try to 360 dunk on me. And you know what? If he does, I'll take it. But so far, I just wanted to bring it up and say, hey, he's doing all right. I'll eat the crow if I deserve it at the end. But right now, I'm just looking at the crow cooking right now.
Can we take some just quick back pats while we're here?
Yeah, Miguel Vargas.
I was gonna give you Miguel Vargas.
Okay.
But also backpack both of us for Isaac Paredes.
Right. Number 6.
Number 6 player, 11 home runs in 270. That park was built for him.
And that's our main point was he couldn't be in a better park.
Yeah. He has been absolutely fantastic. And I think he will continue to be. I think he's going to be one of those guys where you go, oh man, I'm really glad I grabbed him outside the top 150.
Yes. You mentioned Miguel Vargas, or I mentioned Miguel Vargas. You said you were going to let me back pat on him. A guy I've loved, and we both have. So I want to include you on this. We've been fans. We've continually said that he's better than what we've seen. He's had like 3 disjointed samples over the last 3 years that have all been small. Even if you add all 3 together, his BABIP's been in the tank. And it's like, I just think he's better than this. And he's finally starting to come along. I did get a question in my chat, like, is this a small sample surge or is there something here? And I was like, full disclosure, I am a big fan, so I don't want to just look like confirmation bias. Oh, he's awesome because I've always liked him. But I do believe that he was always better than what we had seen. So even the 264 BABIP that he has this year is not that special, but it's better than like the sub 200 that he had last year and the 204 that he had for his career. Plus, I always felt he had some power, so the 8 homers doesn't really surprise me. So I'm in. Obviously, I've always been in. I'm excited, and I believe that we are seeing an emergence with Miguel Vargas for sure.
I would love to see them lower his launch angle. He has got a launch angle that is going to lead to like a lot of fly balls that don't leave the park.
Yep, just easy outs.
Yeah, and like I think he's one of those guys, like if he could just level off his swing a little bit, you could be like, oh wow, like because right now it's at like 23-degree launch angle. If he was at like 17, 18 degrees, I think he would be just chucking the ball over the fence a lot of time because the power metrics have been pretty decent this year.
I'm glad you brought that up on Vargas too, because that is when you are living in the air like that and you are getting out these very easy outs. Those are the cans of corn, the long fly outs. That's going to keep your BABIP down.
Yeah.
But again, he's better than 204. He might be more of this 264 guy that we're seeing, but I'll take that because that can facilitate a 240 to 250 average with mid-20s power potential. Obviously, the runs and ribbies are going to be what they are on the White Sox, but even they're not that bad. 26 and 24 respectively, still a hell of a lot better than Gunnar Henderson.
Yeah.
Had to take one more shot at him. Anybody else at the hot corner before we wrap it up?
No, I think that's it.
I think so. I think we put a nice little tight hour here on second or on short and third. Excuse me. I think we're back with Joe tomorrow. I don't know. I think we had said that we would have it would just be starting pitchers. We have outfield left to do. Maybe we can do both. We'll have to see if everyone's time is available because that would be a little bit of a longer episode.
It's actually going to be you and Joe and not me. Unfortunately, I'm having to do a work thing tomorrow. So
stupid work. So Joseph and I will have to decide if we want to do outfield and pitcher, or maybe just one and then save the other for you and I early next week.
There's probably a lot to do in just outfield, right? Like
that's what I'm saying. And that either position, outfield or starting pitcher, can be their own episode. So I do think they do need to be separate episodes. So maybe he and I do the outfield tomorrow. We do an hour on Pete Crow Armstrong being amazing.
You talk about Pete Crow Armstrong as the number 2 outfielder.
Unbelievable.
I'm kind of sad I'm not going to be there to eat all the crow on that one.
Pun intended, right?
Yeah.
Pete Crow Armstrong. That's perfect.
The pun wasn't intended, actually.
Oh, even better.
I mean,
so check this out.
Byron Buxton at 13.
Oh, that's actually really impressive. I didn't know that. Yeah, there's so much to talk about. Do you want us to do starting pitcher and then save outfield for you? Which one would you rather be part of?
I think I'd rather do pitcher. I just
okay.
Just love talking pitching with you.
So. We'll do outfielders tomorrow. Joe and I will. We will talk a lot of Pete Crow Armstrong. $53 at the top for Judge. He's a god. 42 for Pete Crow Armstrong, and then his teammate Tucker at 37. Like that's a decent little split there. That's how good Pete Crow's been.
Someone in the in the Discord yesterday did like a guess the stat line. It had 3 different stat lines, and I think one of them was Pete Crow Armstrong, the other one was Kyle Tucker. It was like
they've been unreal, dude. Throw in Seiya at number 6.
Yeah,
they've got 3 outfielders in the top 6. So Joe and I will get into that. A lot of fun, guys, in the outfield for sure. Good luck with your work thing. We'll be back Friday morning, you and I, then to talk 2 start pitchers for the week. Have a good one.
Take it easy.